When I was 17, I spent most of my free time with my two best friends, Ryan and Ethan. We had known each other since middle school and had a habit of seeking out adventure, even when it probably wasn't the best idea. One Friday night, we were hanging out at Ethan's house, scrolling through horror stories online, when Ryan mentioned something that immediately caught our attention. "You guys ever hear about the old Hillside Mall?" I had. It had been shut down for over a decade, sitting on the outskirts of town, slowly being reclaimed by nature. There were rumors about the place, stories of squatters, strange noises, even ghost sightings, the usual urban legend nonsense. Still, I had to admit, the idea of exploring it was kind of intriguing. Ethan, always the most daring of the three of us, grinned. "We have to go." I hesitated. "Isn't that trespassing?" Ryan rolled his eyes. "Technically, sure, but who's gonna care? The place has been abandoned forever." I sighed, already knowing I'd cave. Half an hour later, we were driving through the empty streets, the glow of streetlights becoming more sporadic as we neared the edge of town. When we pulled into what remained of the parking lot, the place looked even worse than I imagined. The pavement was cracked, weeds pushing through every available space, and the giant sign that once welcomed shoppers hung at an awkward angle, its letters barely legible. "Creepy as hell," Ethan muttered. Ryan grabbed his flashlight. "Let's do this." We found an opening near what had once been a loading dock. The metal door was slightly ajar, as if inviting us in. We exchanged glances before slipping inside. The air was thick with dust, and the faint scent of mildew clung to everything. Our flashlights cut through the darkness, revealing shattered glass, discarded mannequins, and remnants of stores that had long since been stripped bare. Despite the eerie atmosphere, I couldn't help but feel a strange sense of nostalgia. I had been here as a kid, back when the mall was alive with activity. Now, it was a corpse of what it had once been. We wandered deeper, passing a collapsed ceiling panel and a food court that looked like a ghost town. The further we went, the quieter it got, like the mall itself was holding its breath. Then we heard it. Footsteps. Faint at first, but undeniably there. We froze, exchanging wide-eyed looks. Ryan swung his flashlight down the hall, but the beam revealed nothing but empty storefronts. "Could be an animal," Ethan whispered, though he didn't sound convinced. Then the footsteps came again, closer this time, and they weren't alone. Somewhere in the darkness, something shifted. A shape moved, just beyond the edge of our light. And then, the whispering started. It was faint at first, like a breath against the walls. But as we strained to listen, the voices became clearer, murmuring, overlapping, unintelligible yet disturbingly human. My heart pounded as I turned to Ryan and Ethan, both of whom were frozen in place. "Who's there?" Ryan called out, his voice echoing through the cavernous emptiness. The whispering stopped instantly. Then, a metallic scraping sound echoed through the hall, as if something heavy was being dragged across the floor. The sound sent a chill down my spine. I shone my flashlight in the direction it had come from, but there was nothing, just another darkened corridor leading deeper into the mall. "We should go," I muttered, my voice barely above a whisper. Ethan, for once, didn't argue. "Yeah, now." We turned back the way we came, quickening our pace. But as we neared the entrance, the air around us grew colder, and a strange pressure settled over my chest, like something unseen was pressing in on us. Then the door, the one we had come through, slammed shut with a deafening bang. Ethan lunged for the handle, but it wouldn't budge. "It's locked!" he shouted, rattling it violently. Ryan spun around, his flashlight flickering. "We need to find another way out." The whispering returned, louder now, coming from all around us. And then, from the shadows ahead, something moved. A tall, humanoid figure emerged from the darkness, its silhouette barely visible against the dim light from our flashlights. It didn't walk. It glided, unnaturally smooth, as if it weren't entirely bound by the same rules as the rest of us. I could feel my pulse hammering in my ears. "Run!" I croaked. Ethan and Ryan didn't need to be told twice. We bolted down a side corridor, our footsteps pounding against the tile floor. I could hear it behind us. The whispering had turned into something worse, an awful, distorted mimicry of our own voices. We burst into what looked like the remains of an old department store. Mannequins sprawled across the floor like discarded corpses. Ryan tripped over one, sprawling forward with a shout. I reached down, yanking him up as fast as I could. "We need to get out of this place," Ethan gasped, his eyes wild with fear. We turned another corner, hoping, praying for another exit. And then we saw it. A rusted emergency door at the end of the hall. No lock, no chains. I didn't stop to think. I slammed into it, pushing with everything I had. The door groaned, then burst open, sending us tumbling into the overgrown parking lot. Cold night air hit my face like a slap. We didn't stop running until we reached the car. Panting, shaking, we piled inside. Ryan fumbled with the keys, his hands trembling. The engine roared to life, and we peeled out of there, tires screeching against the cracked asphalt. None of us spoke the entire ride back. We never went back to Hillside Mall. And to this day, I swear, sometimes, in the dead of night, I can still hear the whispering. Jay.